Okay, so this is just a quick rant video because it's Friday, it's end of day. I just finished work and I have to go meet friends in like an hour. Your boy's booked and busy, but I had to make this video to get this off my chest. I always say it's a quick rant and then it ends up being a 20-minute video, so we'll see how I fare here. But my intention is to make this a quick rant. The presidential debate. Can we discuss the presidential debate last night? US presidential debate, I should say. For those of you who watched it, for those of you who heard about it, can we please discuss? Admittedly, I did not watch the entire thing. I did not watch anything last night, actually. The reason being, I knew it would annoy me. I didn't see a value, I didn't see a benefit in watching it, the full thing last night. Because I knew it would annoy me because it feels like just unnecessary mudslinging. And it's funny because it parallels my experience with TV lately in general. Some of you know I love my reality TV. I love my trashy reality TV. But I noticed recently, like the last handful of months, I've stopped watching as much because it's starting to feel just unnecessarily ugly, like unnecessarily negative and contrived and performative. And that is exactly the same reason I did not watch the debate, because I knew that it would just be a ping pong match that isn't even intellectual or really shows you the person's, the candidate's skill set or competence or ideation. It would really just be, this one did this one does that. I don't see the point of that. But today, this morning when I woke up, I saw memes, I saw friends reposting stuff on social media, and I thought, let me just watch the highlights. Let me watch the tidbits. Let me watch the highlights. So that's what I did this morning for about 10 to 20 minutes. And I was horrified. I was horrified that these are the two options for American citizens. Biden, I didn't realize Biden was at this point. Of course, I've seen memes. Of course, I've seen clips. Of course, I've read articles where they catch him in a moment of like, you know, he's just out of it. He's tired, he messes up what he's saying, where you see his age, right? The clips that I saw this morning from last night's debate, there were many examples of him just being out of it, like to the point where I'm like, this is somebody who, forget not being fit for presidency, he's not fit for a job, period, any job. Like, this man is not competent. He is not competent for any job. He should be either in a nursing home or his family taking care of him. Like, he's at that stage. So then next to him, Trump suddenly seems robust and like potent and remotely competent, but then he opens his mouth and you're like, oh yeah, this is like the lunatic narcissist who lies about everything. Everything. To me, Trump is like an adult version of Cartman from South Park, if you're familiar. It's almost like, it's not almost, it is like a caricature, like a satirical caricature of an angry teenage bully. And it's so funny that Trump could literally win this election and win so many votes from people who would typically vote Democrat if he actually suddenly exuded dignity, eloquence, you know, intellectual ability, critical thinking. Instead, he's still using this juvenile, aggressive, antagonistic rhetoric, which panders to his current audience, but it's not going to entice any new voters. And it's so interesting how, like, he could totally steal this election, no pun intended. All he has to do is show basic competence and he could easily win. But of course, that's not going to happen because the reality is neither of these people is competent, is capable, is fit for presidency. And this isn't even about Republican versus Democrat at this point. Like, this isn't even a political video. This is not a political video. This is a video about how horrified I am, how crestfallen I was this morning thinking, this is so demoralizing. These are the two candidates. These are the two options that Americans have. How did we get here? People talk about that concept of lesser of two evils. That's literally what this is. Both are horrible options. And it's just a matter of which one do you think is less worse than the other one. That is a horrible place to be as a citizen that those are your options. And it doesn't make rational sense to me. I don't understand how the powers that be in DC, how the Republican Party, how the Democratic Party, how did they decide that this is our person that we're suggesting for the next 4 years? It doesn't make sense. I can kind of understand that Biden, it's kind of like a forced option, because I don't know that somebody has ever not run for a second term in American history. So it's kind of like he's locked in as the candidate just from that. That makes sense. You know, who's going to be more qualified than a current president, right? That I get that rationale, but he's obviously unfit. He's obviously unfit and unwell. And then Trump as the other option, I'm like, how did the Republicans fumble this so bad that they decided their top candidate for American presidency would be arguably the most controversial former president of the United States of America? How is it that the competence level of American politics is at this stage? And this is the shit that makes you realize, like, everybody in life, down to the political powers running one of the superpowers of the world, meaning the United States, even at that level, it's bullshit. On the plus side, when you see this, you're like, wow, the adults in the room clearly have no idea what they're doing. If people like this can make it to this stage, can advance, it shows you how much bullshit there is in our world, and that you really can fake it till you make it. Like, for those of us who struggle with confidence, or like, am I not good enough for this job or for this school or whatever, this is a great example of how so much of it is just who you know, right place, right time, sadly, how much money you have in your pocket, how long you've been in a specific space that you've built the relationships. But it shows you that so much of it actually has nothing to do with your competence. I mean, that's both disturbing and kind of like, well, if they can do it, then I can do anything. You know, if they can do it, I can. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's not the right mindset to have either, because I wonder how many people see this and think, you know what, maybe I will fraud my way through medical school, you know? One of the clips that I saw was the two of them during the debate arguing about golf. Like, I would beat you in golf, and well, I saw your swing, and it was so stupid. It was so stupid, and it really showed you, A, how disconnected they are from reality and from their audience, right? Because it's actually funny that golf was the thing that they were going back and forth about. Out of all the irrelevant things, it's actually kind of fascinating that it was golf, because golf is such an old wealthy white man sport. Like, in my mind, golf is like a luxury sport. It showed you how they really are in this bubble that is not relatable to the average American. And it's so important as a politician, especially as the president of the US, to be accessible, to be relatable, but also, reminder, this was a presidential debate. Why are you talking about golf? Unless it's an analogy for like a political thing, and it's like a clever, like, oh, now I understand what your policy on international affairs is or something. That was not the case. They were literally sparring over golf. This shows you also the incompetence of the people behind them for both political parties, that nobody thought to themselves, versus this other candidate, all we need is literally somebody adequate, just basic competence, and they will win the election to be president of the United States. How has that not happened? So watching these clips, I just found it so demoralizing, and I thought, I don't even want to vote for either of these. Like, I know you should still vote, you should still exercise your right to vote no matter what. It's a duty as a citizen, as a tax-paying citizen, blah, blah, blah. But I was watching this thinking, like, in good faith, I don't feel like I should be casting a vote for either of these two guys. And then that's when I realized, if like me, you cannot fathom that these are our two options, and that one of them will become president of the United States of America, I urge you to instead look at it like, who are the vice presidents here? Who are the vice president options? Because there's a pretty good chance that both of these candidates could perish during the next 4 years. Both of them. Yes, Trump feels way more there, like sharp, than Biden, but he's actually only like 3 or 4 years younger than Biden. They're both very old men, and they both show signs of mental decline. It's interesting that Biden, it's more like forgetfulness and not being focused. And with Trump, it's that typical like anger that you've seen a lot of, and hostility and like unwillingness to consider things differently. Or it's like two different symptoms of dementia and Alzheimer's. And they both have it. They both have qualities that are very concerning to see in a human being, period, but particularly somebody who is up for a job, and even more particularly somebody who's up for presidency of the United States of America. Like, it's, I don't mean to laugh, it's just so mind-boggling. It feels like we're in a movie. This feels like the Truman Show, and that we're being watched by the aliens who are like, this is the best TV show we've ever fucking seen. So my strategy is actually to look at the vice president candidates, knowing that there's a good chance they might actually have a bigger impact than these two candidates. I want to know how you feel about this, what your thoughts are. Let me know in the comments.